Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ruby, and today we're going to be going through 2024 releases that are either on my radar and I'm keeping an eye out, or I for sure will be picking up, or maybe they're just by a popular author or part of a popular series that maybe you have really enjoyed. So yeah, I'm really excited. I cannot wait to get into new stories, to continue old ones. I feel like I'm really excited about 2024 because it's going to be the first year where I'm actively reading and like keeping track of what I'm reading, and like I don't know, there's just something about it keeping a reading journal and all that I'm super excited about. So let's get into the releases. Let's start off with January. So on January 9th, we're going to be getting The Alice Complex by Olivie Blake, which is book 3 in that series. I do own the first 2 books, but I have not read them. And I just find that I'm not really drawn to dark academia, or at least I haven't been. So I feel like that's why I haven't really read them. But I probably won't pick this one up until I read those to see if I do like them or not. But maybe you've read them and loved them. Keep an eye out. Then on January 16th, we're getting Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands by Heather Fawcett, which is book 2 in that series. I had the first one, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, on Libby, and I had gotten the book. It was off hold, but I didn't get to read it. So I won't be picking this one up for now, but I know there's a lot of people that really enjoyed that book that have like the Fairy Loot edition of that book. So yeah, it'll be coming out early January. And then one that I will for sure be picking up coming out on January 30th, House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. I own every single book that she's ever written, and I've read all of the ACOTAR series. And I decided earlier, literally when I was showering, I was thinking about this, and I was like, I'm going to reread all of the ACOTAR series, but I'm going to read those like dramatized audio books because I just think that'll be fun. And then I'm going to start Throne of Glass so that I can move on to Crescent City because I feel like it's time. I am such a fan of ACOTAR, and I know that like Throne of Glass and Crescent City are different, but I just cannot wait. I feel like they're going to be books that I'm going to love, and I've been putting it off just because it's such a commitment and there's so many books that I've been wanting to read. But 2024, I'm determined to have so many good reads and so many fun times, so for sure we'll be picking that one up. Moving on to February, on February 6th, we have The Tainted Cup by Robert Bennett Jackson. This is a pretty popular author. He wrote the Foundry Side trilogy, which I own all 3 books. And actually that first book was so hard for me to find because it's out of print, the hardcover. So I literally had to go on Mercari and pay a ridiculous amount of money, but I don't regret it because the magic system in this one is really interesting. But The Tainted Cup's a little different. I am bringing it up just because he's a pretty popular author, but this one's described more as like a fantasy mystery with a like Sherlock Holmes Watson pairing. Not really my vibe, but if you enjoy mysteries, definitely keep this one in mind because he is considered a pretty great author. But one that's also releasing on January 6th that I will for sure be picking up, for sure, is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Now, if you're familiar with Ali Hazelwood, you know that she usually writes her romances based in STEM, right? Science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And we will be getting another Ali Hazelwood book, which we'll cover a little later on, that is like her usual stuff, but this one is different. In this one, we're going to be following a vampire bride and a werewolf alpha that have to enter into a marriage of convenience. And listen, the preteen and teenage me is so excited for this. Like, I feel like every time I get some sort of supernatural, paranormal romance type of thing, I get ridiculously excited. So I will be picking this up because I read my first Ali Hazelwood recently and I loved it. I'm getting it. Then on February 13th, we're getting 2 books. We're getting An Education in Malice by St. Gibson, who is the author of A Dowry of Blood. And this one's actually listed as A Dowry of Blood book 2. But when I was reading the little blurb, it did not seem like it was a continuation, although I could be wrong because I myself have not read A Dowry of Blood yet. But this one seems that it's going to be like dark academia. So if that's your thing, then you'll probably like this one. A Dowry of Blood was super popular, super beloved. So Who knows? And then the other book releasing on February 13th is Magnolia Parks Into the Dark, which is book 5 in that series by Jessa Hastings. And I've never read these books, so I'm not sure. I know that they've been described as like a British Gossip Girl, which I don't know how to feel about, but I haven't braved it because you all, if you watch my videos, you know that I'm kind of new to romance and I'm like slowly getting into it, but I haven't braved this one. But I'm sure a lot of people are really excited for that one. And then one that I will for sure be getting comes out February 27th. It is A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle Elle Jensen. And this, I feel like a lot of people on TikTok had received arcs of this earlier in the year, read it and raved. We're like, this book is like gonna be the new big thing. This is amazing. And I was like so intrigued. When I was reading Fourth Wing, I already wanted to read this book, not knowing that it hadn't come out yet. But this is described as North-inspired fantasy romance. So I feel like, I don't know if it's fantasy romance or romantasy, which is different. But either way, I'll be getting it. Moving on to March, we have 2 books for March 5th. The first one being The Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black, which is book 2 in the Stolen Heir series. I have the Stolen Heir, but I have not read it. I totally intend to, and that should be a really quick read. However, I'm not going to pick this one up until I read the Stolen Heir, because if I end up hating the Stolen Heir, then I just will not continue and I'll just unhaul the Stolen Heir. But hopefully I do. I know we follow Oak, which is the little brother, so I don't know. We'll see. These books always have kind of mixed reviews, so you kind of have to just read them and make up your own mind. You can't really go off of what the people are saying because everybody says something different. So we'll see about this one. And the other one releasing on March 5th is Finley Donovan Rolls the Dice by Elle Cosimano, which I believe this one is book 4 in that series. I own the first 3 books, but I have not read them. Why? Because they're mysteries. And like I said, it is just not a genre that I gravitate towards, but I feel like I found all of those at Half Price Books when I was still living in Texas, which is why I have them all. But definitely I'm gonna keep this one in mind because I feel like people say that it's like light and funny and kind of silly, but also good, so maybe. Moving on to April. April is stacked with releases. There's so many, and there is quite a bit that I will be picking up. So let's start off with April 2nd. On April 2nd, we're getting Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, which I've made my stance on this woman very clear. I love her. I love everything that she puts out, and I will pick up all of the books that she releases from here on out. So you better believe I'm going to be getting that one. So this one I feel like is going to be really funny. In this one we follow, I believe his name is Justin, and he has a curse that ends up getting out through Reddit. Like, people find out about it through Reddit, and his curse is that every woman that he dates, as soon as they break up, they find their soulmate. And so amazing for those women, but sucks for him. But he ends up finding another woman that has the exact same curse that he has, and they decide that they are going to date and see if it'll cancel out and like they'll break their curse and then find their soulmate. So I just think it's going to be a fun time. We're going to have forced proximity, and I'm so excited for it. Super excited, to be honest. And another one on April 2nd that I'm really excited about is A Witch's Guide to Magical Inkeeping by Sangu Mandanna, which I'm assuming is going to be along the same lines as her other book, which is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. In this one, I believe I had read that the witch that we're following loses her powers, and then of course she ends up running an inn, and there's going to be found family. It's probably going to be just as sweet, just as warm, just as cozy. So I'll be picking it up. And then the third one releasing on April 2nd is The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson, who's the author of all those A Good Guide to Murder books. I'm not sure what they're called. I've never read them. But they're very popular. A lot of people really like them. So if you are one of those people, keep an eye out for that one. Then on April 9th, we have one that I'm not sure about. This is probably the only one that I'm like in between, because I love the author, but the description of the book does not sound like it'd be for me. So the book is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. And I absolutely love Leigh Bardugo. I respect her as an author. I think she's amazing. I think it is very much agreed that Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom are amazing, and also her other work, but specifically those two. So I want to get it, but it is described as historical fantasy set during the Spanish Golden Age. And anytime the word historical is in a description, I get nervous because I'm not a fan of historical fiction, historical fantasy, and that was one of the big reasons that I did not like Divine Rivals. So I'm not sure. I feel like I'm gonna be picking it up maybe on Libby or one of those apps and giving it a chance like that before committing to buying it, because it's not something that I generally like, you know what I mean? But if you are a Leigh Bardugo fan, you need to get it. On April 16th, we're getting Taming 7, which is book 5 in the Boys of Tommen series by Chloe Walsh. I've never read these books. I know book 1's called Binding 13, I believe, but I've never read them. I know they're very popular. A lot of people really like these, but I saw that it was like high school romance, so that made me a little bit nervous that it was going to be a little too young for me. And I know that there's been a ton of people that have written reviews or posted videos saying, if you think it's too young for you, it's not, just give it a chance. But also those books are thick, so I haven't read them. But if you're a fan, then you'll probably be picking it up, because I feel like a lot of people are very much anticipating this one. But one that I will for sure be getting, and one of my, like, I don't know, I'm super excited about this one. It is Funny Story by Emily Henry, which comes out on April 23rd. And for this one, I had to write a little blurb because it was a lot. It was a lot for my little pea brain. So I wrote, a pair of opposites with the wrong thing in common. Daphne's fiance is in love with his childhood best friend, Petra, so she breaks up with him. She somehow ends up rooming with Petra's ex, Miles. And in this, we're going to have, they're going to turn, I guess they're going to be friends because they're going to be roommates, and then probably fake dating, and then, you know, eventual dating. I'm just so excited because this year I read my very first Emily Henry book, Happy Place. And I loved that book. Even a trope that I hate, miscommunication, it didn't even faze me. I was like 5 stars. So I'm so excited for this one. Plus the book is blue and I love the color blue, so I'm getting it. Oh, and cartoon covers. We just discussed this in my last reading vlog that I love cartoon covers. And then rounding out April, on April 30th, we have Heavenly Tyrant by Xiran Zhao. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but the book is book 2. The first book being Iron Widow, which is a very popular book. I myself had Iron Widow, but I sold it before I moved to Maryland because I was on hauling books, since it was just horrible moving here. But yeah, a very popular book. We have a lot of like girl rage from what I hear. Like the main character is a certified badass. So if that seems like your thing, read it and then pick up book 2. We don't have anything in May, but we do have some in June. And again, I might have been leaving some out. I couldn't go through every single book, but like I said, these are the ones in my radar. In June, we have 2 coming out on June 11th. The first one I'm picking up. Like, I'm picking up because I'm a new Ali Hazelwood fan. So it is Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood, which this is the one that I said is following her usual thing of romance in STEM. But this one is romance in biotech. So if it's anything like her other books, then I'm sure it's gonna be good, gonna be something that I like at least. So I will be getting that one. And then the next one, I'm just not sure if I'm gonna be getting it, because I read the first 2 books last month and I thought they were okay. Like, it wasn't anything that I loved, but at this point I kind of want closure with it. Like, I don't think I would go past book 3. If she decides to write another one, like, girl, I'm done. But I feel like 3 is like my limit, and that is The Housemaid is Watching by Frida McFadden. I need Frida to just wrap up Millie's story. Like, we need to let Millie go. So hopefully this is going to be the last one. I haven't done my research to see if it is the last one or not, but let's just give Millie a break. Let's just let her live, and hopefully this is the last one that we're getting in that little world. In July, we have 2 books. The first one I will for sure be picking up. It is Reckless by Lauren Roberts, which is book 2 in the Powerless series. I'm actually currently reading book 1, and I haven't read much, but I'm really liking it so far. I feel like the characters are really good. Like, I really like them. So I know that I'll be picking it up because it's looking like I'm really going to enjoy that one. Like I said, I'm not even remotely, like, I feel like I'm not even on page 100, but I'm already liking it. So that's always a good sign. And then the other one that's coming out is Hera by Jennifer Saint, and that one comes out on July 23rd. This one, I don't know if I'll be picking up. I do have 3 of her books. I have Ariadne, Atalanta, and Electra, but Circe by Madeline Miller really just got me. Like, it made me not want to continue reading mythology books. And again, I don't know why. Like, it was not a bad book. I don't know what happened to me. I'm not in the mood. So maybe by next year, next July, I'll be in the mood and I'll get it. But I don't see myself getting this book unless I find it like at a thrift store or a book outlet or something like that. I don't think that I'll be going out of my way to get it on your release day. And then lastly, we have August. Like I said, I only went up to August. We have 2 books on my radar for August. Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid comes out August 13th. And this one is not really on my radar, but I just thought I'd throw it in there in case you're an Ava Reid fan, because I read A Study in Drowning and I hated it. And I just honestly, like, I dislike that book so much that I just don't want to continue reading anything Ava Reid wrote. Unreasonable, yes. And I know Juniper and Thorn is really popular, but I just don't, not in the mood. But if you love her, you love her writing, check that one out. And lastly, we have Wisteria by Adeline Grace, which comes out on August 20th. And this one is book 3 in the Belladonna series. I have Belladonna. I never bought book 2 because I haven't read Belladonna. I'll give it a try eventually, maybe. I don't know. I just feel like I tried to force myself to read it in October, but I never even got to start it. It's not something that I've heard about a lot. Like, I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it. And because of that, like, I don't even know what it's about. So it's not like making me want to read it. Like, you know, whenever you hear people talking about things, like, you get hyped and you want to read it. And this one's just not one that I have heard much about. So I don't know. But maybe I will read it by then and continue on. But yeah, those are 23 releases that are coming out in 2024. I wish I would have done 24 releases, but I missed the mark on that one. Sorry. But yeah, I'm super excited to pick up those like 11. And then the other ones, they're just on my radar. I'm just like keeping an eye out because maybe by then I'll want them. Who knows? But I am going to continue reading Powerless now because look, literally not even remotely like any way into the book, but I'm really liking it. And I'm really sad that I have the paperback and not the hardcover, because when the hardcover comes out, I'm gonna have to wait forever for the paperback, and that's just gonna make me crabby. But I'm gonna continue reading. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon with another one. Bye.
you.